There are four rules. None of them are groundbreaking or none of them are even new. You've almost certainly heard of some version of all of them before. But the thing is, most men know them and still don't follow them. Probably not because they're lazy, but because nobody's been straight about what actually happens to your body when you skip them. How hard fat loss can actually become. So that's what we're going to go through today. And my name's Adam. I have a master's in performance nutrition and I've helped over 200 men lose their belly fat and actually keep it off. These are the four rules that suck but matter most when it comes to losing belly fat. So in 2020, I decided fiber wasn't necessary. I'd been down a bunch of different rabbit holes and each one of them told me something different. Someone said, oh yeah, fiber's not for humans. It's overrated. It blocks nutrient absorption, all these sorts of things. So I thought, you know what? Scrap it. I'll just ditch fiber completely. I had this carnivore-esque diet going on. I used to follow a lot of the biohackers. I used to follow Paul Saladino quite religiously. Well, guess what? Now he's not even a carnivore. So that's going to tell you something. Anyway, this is not a bash at carnivore. That has its place. But it is to say, when I removed fiber, I realized a couple of things. I realized how painful and how difficult a calorie deficit can actually be. It was unbearable, the hunger. My amount of food on the plate was tiny. I had small portions because I didn't have the vegetables to bulk it out. And then I just tried to eat more, like fatty cuts of meat because they're meant to be satiating. I just ended up eating more calories, more olive oil, more bits. Also, my digestion wasn't as good as it was. I had way fewer bowel movements. It just felt pretty much unnatural. Felt like food was just sitting in my stomach. I wasn't bloated by any means. It was just sitting. And then you hear people say, oh, see, you don't actually need that much because there's less waste. That's not true. It's not true at all, actually. And then I decided, you know what? I can't really deal with this. There's no way I'm going to lose fat like this. And I wasn't losing fat. Nothing was changing. I was just hungrier, way hungrier. And I was overeating as a consequence. So I added fiber back in. And when I added fiber back in, I noticed how filling it was. Like literally, I was so much more full on fewer calories. My digestion improved significantly. Of course, there's that phase where you add fiber back in or you add fiber in for the first time. You're like, I feel a bit heavy, feel a bit more bloated. But that is a period where your body adjusts. You adjust, you adapt, and you can tolerate as much as you can tolerate. Everyone's different, but you build your tolerance over time. So honestly, one of the key pillars, and you've seen this now with GLP-1s, you've seen it with fat loss medications in general, when hunger is defeated, you lose fat. So when hunger is defeated, you get into a deficit more easily. So I'm not saying fibers are, the replacement for GLP-1s by any means. But what I am telling you is, if you solve hunger, everything just becomes significantly easier. And fiber is the pillar. We're going to go over the second pillar shortly, but fiber is the pillar for hunger. You get more food if you eat soluble fiber, like from oats, from most vegetables, from, just trying to remember this off the top of my head, legumes as well. What you're doing there is you're ingesting way more volume in terms of food. Then what happens is when it comes into contact with water, it forms a gel in your stomach, takes up more room, slows digestion, balances your blood sugar levels if you're curious about that. And just takes up more room in your stomach, fills you up more. So you're fuller for longer and you're going to eat less more naturally because you're fuller. The second rule is, and you might say, oh, everyone talks about this, Adam. And this is probably the whole point. It's protein. Most people at diet, especially people that are not tracking, they'll undereat on protein. Just naturally, they'll eat less food. Maybe they were eating a lot of protein before, and then suddenly now they're dieting, they're eating a lot less protein just because they're just trying to lower portion sizes, which obviously calories are number one, but you need enough protein, otherwise you can lose muscle. And trust me, I've seen this happen so many times. I've looked at thousands of food diaries at this point. And I noticed one thing's consistent, like throughout protein is low. Protein is about 50, 70 grams a day on average. I've actually looked at a diary the other week. The guy was eating 45 grams of protein a day. I don't know if he did it because I was monitoring his diet, but 45 grams of protein a day. You need somewhere between 0.7 to 1 gram per pound of your body weight. If you want some quick maths, just do 1 gram per pound of your goal body weight, especially if you've got a lot of fat to lose. It's more realistic for you to hit that number. And if you get a bit less, that's fine. If you get a bit more, that's also fine as well, because protein is the most satiating macronutrient to a point. There's obviously a cutoff point, but once you get there, you'll realize it and you'll be more full. You'll help preserve your muscle mass, which is going to help you look better. Otherwise, what happens is you lose your fat. You look at yourself in the mirror, you're like, I still don't like the way I look because you've lost muscle. And most people have a fair bit more muscle than they think. Some people have a fair bit less, but I would say you probably, especially if you've got a lot of fat to lose, and especially if you've been strength training over the years, or you've got like a physical job, you probably have a lot more muscle, and you don't want to lose that because you'll just look at yourself and be like, oh, I'm not happy. Then that can just be like immediately eating whatever you want. And then, yeah, you can imagine a real fast rebound. I was there, done the same thing. And also what people don't tell you, when you lose muscle, appetite goes up and your metabolism slightly slows. But most importantly, your appetite goes up. If your appetite goes up, and along with the adaptations, and you're moving less and so forth, it just becomes a lot harder to maintain that weight. And then the satisfaction, like I said, I rarely met someone that's lost a lot of muscle in a dieting phase that's happy. And don't have this mindset, oh, you know what, I'll deal with that once I've lost the body fat. Your goal should always be to maintain the muscle you have. Why are you going to go and lose it and then go and put it back on? Losing fat is way easier than building muscle. And I will say way easier. It's quicker. Yes, quicker. It takes a lot less. So you want to at least preserve the muscle you have. And that brings me into my next rule, the third rule. This is something that most people just are like, oh, that's boring. Oh, no, I can't do that. Nobody does that. But guess what? Everyone does it. I used to look at this one guy in the office. I forget this guy's name. It was Tom. Pretty sure it was Tom. When I used to work in recruitment, I used to watch him. He used to eat the same thing every day. He was slim. He was active. He wasn't like built or anything. He wasn't like, with all due respect to Tom, he's probably not watching this. He didn't have like an aspirational physique, but he was always slim. He was always active. He ate the same thing for breakfast and lunch. I didn't see his dinner. Sometimes I did in the office, but the same thing for breakfast and for lunch. And he actually said to me when I was eating my meal, this time I was pretty dialed in. I just started recruitment, so, I still had it figured out. He said to me, you eat the same thing every day. I said, it's not exactly the same, but it's very, very similar. Just a few different changes in the sauces or different fruits I would add to these salads. I used to call them salads. They were more like just cold meals. And then I said to him, you know what? I've noticed something. You eat the same thing every day too. And he was like, do I? And I said, oh wait, maybe I do. And then he came back to me the next day, saw me in the office, saw me in the kitchen. Well, it was kind of like a kitchen, like an open kitchen area. And he said to me, you eat the same thing, and so do I. I just figured that out. And at the time, I didn't really make the correlation. I didn't really fully understand what I understand now. And that this really does help predict long-term outcomes. I'm not saying you have to eat the exact same meals, but if you have 2 to 3 lunches planned for the week even, 2 to 3 breakfasts, or I had the same breakfast for the last 6 years. I've done a video on this, and I will probably still do it for the next 5 to 6, who knows. What I'm trying to say is if you do that, that's one less decision to make. You make that decision in advance. You don't have to rely on you like trying to make that decision. Trying to make a decision in the moment when you're tired, stressed, and you haven't got much time is never going to end well. Trust me, there's too many options that are tempting, too many delivery options as well. If you make those decisions in advance, you pre-plan. You don't have to meal prep. You can put together aspects of foods. You can find like a local place that has something that fits your plan that you just have every day that's predictable. If you do that, I promise you, you can have a far easier time with fat loss. And then if you do that for long enough, you just have to track initially, and then you can loosely track throughout the week, as long as you're consistently losing body weight. But that is a really solid habit. Well, rule even, I would say. Choose, standardize, have a menu. Change it every 2 to 3 weeks whenever you get bored, but try and stick with very similar foods, at least for breakfast, lunch, preferably dinner. Just have some on rotation. Honestly, find stuff you like and repeat it. You will be surprised. You won't be as bored as you think you'll be. And this really does help make fat loss more predictable. Now, I get a lot of pushback on this, and people are like to me, you know what? It works for me. I've done it for so long. And this is intermittent fasting. I did intermittent fasting for years. I was a massive advocate. I used to watch Dalawa, Jason Fungs, all the Jason Fungs of the world. Like, I can't even think of names now. Anyone that promoted fasting, I was convinced you burnt more fat because, insulin was lower. You just burnt more fat throughout the day. You lost more fat. And I've done the research. Trust me, if that was the way, I would tell you it's the way. It didn't do much for me. Well, it did much for me. I lie. When my schedule was perfect, by perfect, I mean, like, I was fully in charge of it. It was completely fine. I was okay. Did it during a week. Weekend came around, couldn't follow it. The structure fell apart. Then I'd overeat on a weekend and repeat the whole cycle. I would lose the same weight, regain the same weight. I did that for months and months and months and months. And I came to realize the problem with intermittent fasting is it works when your day's predictable. But if you have a late night in the office, you don't know what you're eating for dinner, you come back, you're going to binge. Or you get to lunch, you're too busy, you're starving, all you can think about is food. You overeat, or you start to want more indulgent foods. These things happen. And if you found intermittent fasting worked and it didn't, it probably doesn't work for you. And that's fine to admit. What I suggest is 3 to 4 meals a day. You might say, yeah, but everyone suggests that. Maybe they do, but it works. It works every single time. Eating regular protein, I would say you don't have to have the exact amount per meal, but for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, for example, and then a meal in between, or even just breakfast, lunch, and dinner, is going to help manage hunger better. And you have fiber in all those meals, again, you're going to manage hunger even better. And then when you go away, when the weekend hits, you still use the same structure. You can still use some of the same meals. You know how to eat with that structure. You don't just know how to eat in 8 hours or 4 hours. I've tried OMAD too. I've tried longer fasts. It just does not work for me. It does not work for most people. Some people, it works fine. If it works for you, it really does work for you. And you've lost the weight and you've kept it off, you haven't rebounded, then stick with it. But generally, it does not work for me. Most of the men I ever speak to, ones I coach, ones that choose to go on their own, they've all tried intermittent fasting. They've tried longer fasts and whatnot. Some just can't admit to themselves it doesn't work for them because they don't want to track. I don't blame you. Tracking can be boring. Tracking can be tedious. But tracking, eating 3 to 4 meals a day will trump fasting all day, every day. And if you don't believe me, try it yourself. Try it for a month, but do it properly. Don't just rule it out just because it's more challenging, just because it's more tedious. You have a meal out, you don't know what to track. Just put something in the app. And then if you have that meal again, modify it. But don't just tell yourself, intermittent fasting worked, so it must mean it works. That's like going into a casino, winning, then proceeding for the next few days, losing. But you say to yourself, I'm great at gambling. I won. But no, you didn't, because you lost on the money. Hopefully that's a decent analogy. If it's not, just slate me in the comments. I can take it. But I want to, understand again, which one of you has tried fasting? Has it been successful for you? What's your experience been? Just let me know in the comments and I'll reply. And honestly, my experience with it wasn't great. It wasn't great at all. I've had numerous friends, numerous clients that don't do it anymore, and I've got excellent results without doing it. So if it works for you, it works. But only if it truly works, do not kid yourself. Otherwise, this process of losing belly fat is going to be far longer than it needs to be. So yeah, we just covered the 4 rules. The 4 rules I think you need. So you want fiber, you want protein. And by the way, I get asked this often with fiber, 30 to 40 grams a day I would aim for. But if you're at 15 grams currently, build it up and you can go as high as you can tolerate. I eat like 60 to 70 grams of fiber a day, sometimes 80 to 90, and I can tolerate that, but I built that up and I definitely don't suggest going in for that, and find your level of tolerance. Everyone's is different. And then we got, so protein, fiber, we figure those two out even, build your menu, stick to the similar meals. And then I don't suggest fasting. I suggest a structure of 3 to 4 meals, track all of them and watch your belly fat disappear over time. I'm not just saying that. If you stay in the deficit, you track everything, you follow all these rules, you're going to win. You're going to win for sure. And remember, like some people say to me, oh, what about this? What about that? What about this? I'm talking about 4 rules. I'm assuming you're training. I'm assuming you're trying to make better decisions with your food. I'm assuming these things because most people in the comments, most people I speak to say these things to me. These are things you already know. Steps also, you already know that. I'm talking about 4 rules. If you were to follow these 4 rules, even without strength training, you would lose your belly fat over the long term. But never remove strength training. Honestly, it's the single best thing you can do. So if you enjoyed this, hit subscribe, watch this video next. I'll see you there.